Welcome to Unscripted Counsellors with Cris and Kellie. I'm Cris of Cornelian Bella Counselling, based in Queensland, and we've got...
I'm Kellie, and with the new name launched. Yes.
And what is it?
It is Kellie Sheldon Alternative. I still get that bit wrong. Lifestyles and sexual counselling.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. Very niched into the pinhole, but not fully. But of course, won't just work with those people, but that is the pinhole.
What you specialise in.
Yes. Websites being built, new websites being built. The old one's still active, but the new one's being built. But yeah,
it's very exciting.
I have to get used to rolling it off my tongue because sometimes it does and other times it just escapes my brain.
Yep. It's new, so we have a wear in period. It's like you got to wear in a pair of shoes.
Yes. And Happy New Year. It is
Happy New Year.
Podcast for 2023.
Yes, I know we said we were going to do the first week of January, but I have 4 kids. So it's just, we haven't been able to find a time.
Life's hectic, people. It's hectic.
Yes, especially at the beginning of the year, and I had to get the kids ready for school, and you've had so much going on with your business, new website, new name, new logo, new colours. You've had a lot going on as well.
The whole lot.
Yeah.
The whole lot. It's been stressful.
But we made it in January, We
did. Yes. Because it's the 27th.
Yes.
Yes.
But we'll aim for Wednesdays in future.
Yes. Wednesdays would be good.
Yes.
If not, it'll be the Friday.
Yeah.
At least once a week. Just sort of go either a Wednesday or a Friday. Depends what pops up. Because sometimes, as kids get sick and you need to do mum duties and all those type of things. So
yes, exactly. So for our first podcast of the year, our first session, obviously just do a little bit of a disclaimer, especially if you're new to us, is yes, we are both qualified counsellors and practice within our fields. However, this is not a session. So basically, if anything hits a bit close to home, we obviously want to encourage people to seek out professional help, and also letting you know that our books are currently open. So if you feel you connect with one of us, then feel free to reach out, and we are always welcome to have a chat.
Absolutely.
So you found something for us to talk about.
Scrolling through Facebook. If you ever need a topic, either ask the public on Google or scroll through Facebook.
Yep.
So a conversation came up about somebody who has been talking to a psychologist. So a psychologist works under the medical model, which means you have diagnoses, which means you fit criteria that fit within the DSM-5 or the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. Which then normally work also under the mental health care plan. So to be able to have that, you need to put a diagnosis on the mental health care plan. So just need to make that distinction clear compared to what we do, which is we just, well, I'm a psychotherapist and a counsellor. So I look at a lot of underlying causes going right back through to childhood, intergenerational traumas, those type of things. I don't specifically prescribe to the medical model. I believe it has a place, absolutely, but my sort of take on that is it has a place, it groups in a group of symptoms, and that can explain what's happening for somebody. So this particular post that I found this morning was talking about going on anxiety meds. So let's have a discussion about medication for mental health. So we're talking about depression meds, anxiety meds, those type of things.
There's a place.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. There is a place. How old was I? I was 19. And I had a major car accident. I was put on antidepressants after that because I was struggling with anxiety and panic and all sorts of things afterwards. I got myself weaned off.
Yep.
And haven't needed them since.
Well done.
So even if you go on these medications, you can wean off.
Yes, I've been on and off them all my life. I watched my mum be on them all her life. She is still on them. I know people who are on them and they need to increase their dose because your body gets used to the dosage that it's putting out. And, you know, do we become dependent on them? That's the...
I think, especially because something I've heard you say before, Kellie, is talk therapy on its own can do so much. Medication on its own can do so much. Together, you could essentially get off those meds and stay off them.
Absolutely.
So it's about using all the tools in the toolbox.
Yes.
I look especially at anxiety medication, especially if you're not chronically anxious, but you're struggling with anxiety, you're struggling to get on top of it, and you can't seem to get the coping mechanisms in place. Taking these medications in a low dosage while you learn these coping mechanisms, and then you keep them up while you're weaning off, and then it becomes a habit to use those coping mechanisms, so then you can cope without them.
Yeah.
So I think it's about using all the tools in the toolbox appropriately.
Yeah. Are we jumping on them too soon? That's the other thing. You go to a doctor and a doctor will turn around. I remember going to a doctor and going, I want to go and see someone because I'm really struggling. Now, the thing about depression is it's such a wide range. Yeah. So we can have situational depression. So you could be going through a divorce. You could be going through something with your kids like parental alienation. You can be going through a cutoff within your own family system unit. You could be going through money troubles, job troubles, anything. For that period of time, you have depressive symptoms. That may be you can't get out of bed or you're sleeping too much. Like you can't sleep or you're sleeping too much. You're sad or you're angry. Angry is one that actually is quite often ignored for people who have got depression or depressive symptoms. They tend to say, I've had so many of my clients say to me, I'm not depressed, I'm just super angry. Okay, well, what are we angry about? You know, that anger is actually a symptom of, it's one of the signs of depression. Now, so you go to your GP and you go and ask them for, you know, a mental health plan. The first thing they'll do is they'll either write you one, and then they will also ask you if you want to go on meds. Now, I have an issue with doctors because they're not mental health trained.
Your general practitioners, yeah.
Your general practitioners are not mental health trained. So they don't even know that they can send you to a counsellor or a psychotherapist. They will automatically send you to a psychologist.
Yes.
They don't realise that there is a difference. And they don't know, I mean, because they don't do mental health plans, they won't even see counsellors and psychotherapists in their office that much or refer out. I get mental health plans come across my desk. I will have to reply to them and say, look, I can't accept this, but I'm still willing to work with you. And this is, you know, and put down a treatment plan and keep this doctor up to date so they know what's happening. But they are more likely to jump to a medication treatment before sending somebody to get talk therapy.
Like, a thought I also just had is people these days are looking for the quick fix.
Oh, yes. It'll make me
I don't want to feel depressed anymore. If I take these medications, I won't feel depressed anymore and I'll be better.
They, you know, when you're in that space, you just want to feel better. So it's understandable that that's what you want to do. And let's face it, counselling work, psychotherapy work, or even going to see a psychologist is hard work.
Yes.
You have to do work while you go and see these people.
Yeah, in order to get anything out of counselling, you have to be willing to work with it.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people want the quick fix. And you know what? Sometimes it's like you can go to a session, you can blurt your problem, and the counsellor goes, have you thought about this? And it can be the light bulb and your problem's fixed.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need that third unbiased party to talk to.
Yeah. Or just help you think about something in a different way.
Yeah,
or
get a different perspective.
To help you understand where that behaviour has come from or why you're struggling so much with that.
And sometimes it takes years.
That's right.
There's no there's in-betweens, obviously, but it's
absolutely.
Like it's a scale.
Yeah. Yeah. In my case, you know, you'll probably come and see me for a good minimum of 10 sessions because of the work that I do. And I'd get you looking at all the parts of self Inside Out movie, guys. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It is the perfect explanation for how parts work or ego states work. And we will dive into that area. You know, that is what will happen when you're in my room doing work. Like, that's the type of work that I do, is inner child stuff. We heal from the root of the cause. I will take you back to the original feeling of where you felt a certain way. We will, and also normalize what's happening in your life right now. So if you have that, and I don't know how many times I've had people come in and after 2 or 3 sessions, they've gone, you know what, I feel so much better already. Medication takes a month to 6 weeks to kick in. And then you've got to get the right dose. And then you have to get the right medication. And you got to play around with it. And you have side effects of feeling queasy.
Yes, and if you don't take them at the same time every day, you can make yourself very sick. And it's,
And then if you feel better and you decide you don't need them anymore, you go cold turkey. 3 days later, you're in a bigger hole than what you were when you started. Yeah. I sort of feel we have become a nation and actually a world of over medicating, that we don't get outside enough. We don't do the things that we enjoy enough. We're not looking after ourselves. We're not getting the right vitamins. We're not eating the right foods to make ourselves feel better in the first place. Yes, life gets in the way. We're not discounting that at all. You know, work's hectic, life's hectic, family's hard. We were just talking before we started recording how difficult family can be. You know, and how it can impact our mental health. Absolutely. But medication is a big deal. It's a big step that I think sometimes we need to take more seriously, instead of just going, hey, is this, you know, this is what I'm going to do.
And like in the original post that you saw, this is obviously a mental health professional saying we should probably look at this, and good on her for like trying to get more information and not just taking this one person's opinion. However, I'm not going to discredit that professional, because high chance, if it's being suggested by a mental health professional, it may be needed, even in a low dose for a short period of time.
Absolutely.
So we don't know the whole situation, and that's what a lot of these posts, and it can be really hard to give advice on these kind of posts because we don't have the full story, we don't have the full history.
Yes.
It can make it really hard.
Absolutely.
And that's what I get so frustrated with when I am seeing posts like that and people are giving advice and that sort of thing. I'm like, how can you give advice when you don't have the whole story?
Yeah.
Like, this person could be telling you whatever. You don't know.
Yeah. I'm just having a quick scroll through some of the comments, and they're like, I've been an on and off for X amount of years. They're a game changer. I can't leave the house without them. They are the reason that I can function most of the time. They really helped, and then did therapy later in life, you know. Okay, so one of the comments is actually stated about the chemical imbalance. There's a lot of research that's coming out about that at the moment that is actually discounting a chemical imbalance in the brain for depression.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've seen that. I haven't read a lot of it, but it's been around. I think I probably saw the article maybe came up about 2-3 years ago to start with, and it's actually now starting to really take traction. That yes, that it's not necessarily always a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Oh, it can be our moods and overwhelming moods, and sometimes it can be over and under stimulation.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know it's like if I'm struggling to get out of bed, it's a lot of the time it can come down to stimulation and whether I want to do what I've got to do that day.
Yeah.
We all have those. We have funks. Funks happen.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. The generation's different now, and I was raised by people of you just push through.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the mentality that people have these days as well, because I'm not about to get into a generational battle, because I think generation is only the smallest of part.
Absolutely.
Because I've got essentially, like, technically my partner and I are a generation apart, but we don't notice the differences in our age or generations until, say, oh, this happened while I was in school. And we go, oh, yeah, okay. I was a baby when that happened. So we don't notice it. So I think generation only has a small thing to play with. Parenting to a point, yes, society has a lot to answer for. Media has a lot to answer for.
Oh my God, media.
That's a whole other topic. But I don't know, it's just in today's society, there's an instant gratification, there's a different work ethic, and that sort of thing. And I don't know. It's just,
I mean, I
people
guess
are so different.
we are, but I guess what's really good about present day compared to, say, even when I was a kid, so I'm a Gen Xer, is that we're sitting here being able to have this conversation openly about medications and mental health. Whereas back when I was younger, you didn't go and see a psychologist, you didn't go and see a counsellor, you wouldn't shout it and announce it to the rooftops like, I'm going to see somebody because I'm not doing well. You wouldn't do that. Whereas now we can, which is fantastic and absolutely applaud it. But there's still some people who struggle, you know, and there's still that ideology around not going airing your dirty laundry or however you want to speak it. But that's the bonus of it. But yeah, it is. I do feel as though we are becoming a society where, as you said, we want that quick dopamine hit. We want that endorphin hit. We want to feel better without learning the skills, you know. So you don't go, and if you're feeling down, you're not going to sit there and know to look at your value system. Am I working and am I living within my value system? A really good book. I still haven't, I'm nearly finished it. And it's so small, but it's taken me such a long time to get through. A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay.
So he was a psychiatrist who was spent 3 years in the German concentration camps. And he talks about in that book about the people who have hope. They're the ones that kept going. They're the ones who survived. And he spoke about what happened afterwards, after liberation and things like that. But he was flagging it back then that if we had hope and we had value to keep going in our life, then, you know, we did. You're an ACT therapist, yeah? You do acceptance and commitment. So living to values, that's your thing.
Yeah.
Are you living to values? Talk about it in my room. Are you living to your values? What are your values? Do you even know what they are? Self-care. Anybody, you know, are we doing the right self-care? Are we setting the right boundaries? Or are we raising a generation of people pleasers? I don't know. We're not at the end we haven't sort of gone through the generations enough yet to sort of figure all that out. But medication wise, I do feel we are definitely over-diagnosing and over-labeling.
Yes.
And over-medicating. That's my 2 cents on
I
it.
feel like all of those go hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And pharmaceutical. No, because I believe there is a place for a lot of medications. There is a place for them.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that they're wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I just think sometimes there's a better way.
Yes.
Or a joint way.
Because it's like my GP knows I will do everything possible before having to take the medication.
Yes.
And it's not a hippie or organic or any of those, I don't want to put chemicals in my body thing. It's medication is an option. It's always an option. But is there a way that we can do this without it?
Yeah.
It's like if I've got to take antibiotics, okay, I have to take antibiotics.
Antibiotics are different though. You're on a course for what, 7 to 10 days?
Yeah, well, I had an ear infection. I was on it for like a month and a half.
Okay. Yep. Even then, that's a short amount of time compared to going on an anxiety or an SSRI or something,
Exactly.
where you're on it for months to years, and they're hard to get off, especially some of them, like the days on my lordy, people in our audience might know the name Exoflor. I can't even pronounce it. You go on that, it was an antidepressant med. You had to wean yourself off it so gradually because it was so addictive and so bad for you. I don't think they sell it now. I think they do Prestige now, I think is one of the big ones. But there is some out there that are very, very hard to get off. You become addicted to them.
Yes.
And that's the trouble, is once you get on them, it's like making the decision, when do I get off it? And then does it become a crutch? Oh, I'm on this now. It's like, so I can't not have this because then I will go back to the way that I was. So I'm sure I read an article once, a research paper about giving people a placebo.
Oh, okay.
For antidepressant anxiety meds. And they actually believed, because placebos work, yeah.
Yeah.
They do. There's so much research on giving, like with the control groups.
Mind over matter.
Placebo. Yeah, I'm taking this sugar pill every day and I feel better because I'm taking a medication thing every day. I feel better.
Because you believe you're feeling better.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing about our brains, and we don't even fully understand our minds yet.
Yeah. We can trick our brains so easily. There's little things that you can do every day. Like you can literally force yourself to smile. I think it's for like 5 minutes. I think it's 4 or 5 minutes. Like you force yourself to smile for 5 minutes. And then your brain thinks you are actually happy and will release the proper hormones. And then you actually feel better. That's why laugh therapy works. Laughter therapy. You know that laughter therapy? Everyone stands around the sort of corner and you circle and you laugh at everyone.
It's like act therapy. When you have a really negative thought, you can go, I'm a failure. And if you go, oh, you're a failure, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. So it changes. It's like when you go change the tone of, oh, I'm a failure to, I'm a failure. It changes the whole feeling behind it, and it tricks the mind from believing I'm a failure to, oh, what's this silly stuff that's going on?
Yeah.
And that's part of why I do act therapy. It works.
It works. I know the basic premises behind ACT. I just didn't follow it through to finish the course.
Yeah, you do EMDR, which is much more in depth. It's nearly the same thing, but it goes deeper. It goes deeper.
ACT is nothing like EMDR.
It works with dealing.
Two completely different ends of the scale.
But it deals with the circumstances and accepting what happened, but you do it in a much deeper level than what I do.
Yeah, I go to the trigger source.
Exactly, where I do dealing with the surface of it, with the smaller things, where you deal with more trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. I had an opportunity to do ACT when I was doing my studies, and I started reading the book. I did. And I started listening to the lectures. I did. And I went and did the online classes thing that I had to. And because I'm an attachment intergenerational psychotherapist, I just sort of went, oh, this is just so fluffy. To me, it's like CBT.
I can't do CBT.
It deals with the surface. We're not going underneath to fix the problem where it started. So it's never
EMDR is the goal.
EMDR is fantastic.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
I'll be certified next month.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, ACT has its place. Don't worry. I actually, even though I didn't learn it fully, I still use analogies from it, and allergies, an analogy.
Yeah, but it's great for especially when you're dealing with anxiety, the practices within it are great for coping mechanisms. And that's why I love it so much, because it's about learning that day-to-day coping, and it helps with the breathing, and it helps with the refocusing and letting things go. It focuses on all those sorts of things, which is helpful in your day-to-day. No, it doesn't get down to the root of the problem and fix it from there, but it does help you cope.
And if you're coping, you can fix the root, right?
Exactly.
Or you may just decide, I don't need to. I'm okay with knowing what happened and not being able to fix that. But then understanding, of course, that trauma sits in the body, and it will show up when we least expect it and we least want it to, no matter who you are.
Yes. Even trained professionals.
Then, because it sits in the body. So but if you can get through day to day, which is a lot of the time, which is what, counselors are great for, is getting you through day to day stuff.
Yeah,
then
that's our job.
Hell yeah. Then go for it. Yeah. I mean, as I said, I use principles of it. I just don't do it fully.
Yeah.
I just sort of went, this is not for me, which is okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Where I love, from everything that you've told me about EMDR and what I've read of it, I'm like, that's that next step. I'm doing my current training at the moment, so it's just like it's on the list.
Yeah, no, I've got another 2 big training days coming up in the beginning of February. So like next week, the 6th, I've got another big day coming up for those ones.
My baby will be 7 that day.
Oh my God. Mine turned 20. My baby turned 20 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
I feel really old.
Yeah, mine turned 10.
2
weeks ago.
What date?
7th.
Oh, Jasmine was the 10th.
Oh, there you
so
go.
They're nearly twins. They're nearly birthday
10 years apart.
Yeah. Nearly birthday twins. Birthday twins are cool.
Yes.
Look at us getting off topic again.
I know. We can't help it. I think it's what makes us so good. Oh dear. But yes, there is a place for medications, and I think it very much goes hand in hand with talk therapy as well. I think you can do talk therapy without it, and you can do medication without it. But if you truly want to make the most of it, I do usually recommend both.
Yes. If you have to go on meds.
If you have to go on meds, yeah.
If you're
because we don't diagnose, we don't prescribe or anything like that. But I've got clients that are on any anxiety meds, and we work through coping mechanisms and that sort of thing. And they're able to focus on those coping mechanisms and actually put them in place because they feel less anxious.
Yes.
The meds.
Yes, that's
so
it.
It's actually helping them get further in therapy.
Yes. And I mean, that is that is an awesome point that you just brought up then, that yes, it can, if we can manage our emotions better. So if we can get our window of tolerance operating into its, it's really good without going flight or freeze mode or fight or flight mode.
Fight, flight, and freeze.
Yeah, that one. And fawn is the new one.
There's another one.
That's people pleasing. Fawning is
Oh, yeah. I remember that one now.
It's only just not long come in. Or it's probably been there for a while, but it's only just come into mainstream.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it can definitely help the therapy process move forward a lot quicker. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course, if you are given homework, doing that at home also helps the therapy process move through a lot quicker.
Yes. It's like if a counselor gives you a coping mechanism to try, when you have that anxiety feeling, try it. That's the homework.
But you also got to try it when you don't feel bad.
True.
Because when you go to
Because if
try
you
it,
keep doing it when you don't feel bad, it
yeah,
becomes easier when it is bad. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of the stuff that we do, so EMDR is over 8 stages, right? So most people just think it's the finger waggle bit where we actually process out the trauma. That's doing EMDR. EMDR is the history taking, it's the resource building, it's all of that sort of stuff. So when I'm teaching someone and we're doing calm place or container in the office, and we're actually going through that guided meditation to then, this is how you use it, let's practice it a few times. That's showing them how to do it, but they still need to do that outside.
Yeah.
Because the better you get at it, when those really big emotions come up, you'll be able to access that coping skill a lot better. Whereas if you don't practice it and you just expect it to work when that big stuff comes up, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because your brain will just go shut down mode. I'm flooded, can't do anything. I need to wait to come back online.
Yeah.
Type thing. So you've got to practice it.
And everyone reacts differently as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm, if I get into one of those, a lot's happening and I'm feeling overwhelmed, I do distraction.
What's your distraction?
Anything and everything. Usually I clean.
That's a good one. Because you're getting out energy at the same
productive.
time.
I do try productive ways of distraction. So cooking, cleaning, doing things for the kids and family and that sort of thing. The only problem with distraction is it exhausts you, burns the candle at both ends, and when you stop, the problem is still there.
It is. I know so many people who have done that, who just burn themselves, don't stop. Then they get sick and they have to stop, and then their world just falls out from underneath them. And they're like, why is this happening? It's like, because you didn't deal with the ball that you're trying to push down into the water that keeps popping up. When you're remember when you were a kid, did you ever, when you were swimming, try and get a basketball and try and sit on it? And we spent hours doing that, right? Trying to sit on this ball, and the next thing you know, it pops up out the back ear, it pops up between your legs. That's your emotions, people. That's what your emotions do. That ball is your emotions, and squashing it down into that water only does it so much before it comes bursting out like a volcano. Boom. Listen to me, pay attention to me. I'm trying to tell you something.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to tell you something. So listen to me. So yeah, distraction works well to a degree.
Yes. And a lot of the time it's usually if something pops up when the kids are around and I don't have the time or space to deal with it. Yeah. So distraction's really good until, like, say the kids go to bed, and then I go bleh. With the safety of me and my partner.
Yeah.
Because I'm lucky to have that secure relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
So, see, even counselors, we're human. We have our own issues. No one's got their shit together. I think that's a mythical thing. But at the end of the day, we have supervision and we have our own therapists and everything so that we can sort through our shit so our shit doesn't become your shit.
Yeah. Counter transference and transference.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun. That's fun.
Yes.
So, yeah. But medication, it's up to you if you take it.
I think it's between you and your mental health professional.
It is. It is. And if you're not sure, don't be pressured into it. That's the other thing, is don't be pressured into it. You know, don't let someone tell you that this is the only way. And as we will keep saying over and over again, while we're having our chats and over the podcast for the next how many years that we're going to be doing this for, if you don't fit with your therapist, you do not have to stay with that therapist. You can go to a different one. Sometimes it may take 3, 4, 5 to find, but don't give up just because you have a bad experience with 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, just because you have one bad experience or you go to one they don't know what they're talking about. That's one.
That's right.
There's hundreds, thousands of us out there.
Yeah.
And it could just be that one particular person didn't gel well with you, because Finding a therapist is like finding your best friend.
Yeah.
That one person that gets you.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've got to get, like, your therapist has to get along with you too. It's
Yeah.
not just you getting along with them. If your therapist doesn't feel as though they're the right fit for you, they should tell you so they can help you, and then maybe refer you out to people who they think would be a better fit. So you just might come to them with a problem that they're not feeling comfortable with, or not feeling like it's not their area of expertise.
Well, that's an ethical thing as well.
Yes.
Because it's like if you don't have that area of expertise and you don't have the training in the area that their problem is, it's like if someone comes to me, they've got all these other issues, but on top of that, they've got addiction issues, I would then refer on because I don't have the training and qualifications to deal with addiction.
Yep. That's it.
So it's an ethical thing, and it's doing the right thing by our clients and making sure they're getting the care that they need.
Yeah. So if you're going to a therapist and they're completely just push on the meds and you're not sure, go to a different one. Or if you're going to one that is some anti-medication, because they are out there, there's actually there's an organization called Drop the Disorder. I don't know if you've heard about them.
I've heard of, I don't know a lot of.
Yeah. So what they're pretty much trying to do is say that nobody fits into the DSM. There is no place for the DSM. There is no place for the medical model at all.
Okay.
Yes, full stop. It is pretty extreme. I'm on board with some of the stuff that they talk about in there, and some of it I just go, no, I think that has a place. No, I really do. I really do think that has a place. But I mean, the language changes so much as well. Years ago, DID or disassociation, like is used to be like multiple personality disorder. Now it's called DID. So we are changing and we are evolving. But yeah, so there is also, so if you've, as going back to the original point, if you've got a therapist who is completely against medication and you'd like to try it, then maybe they're not that right fit for you either, because you should be able to go and sit in with your therapist and talk to them about anything and feel comfortable doing so.
Yeah, because I was talking to a colleague last week and they don't believe in bipolar disorder, especially in women, because if you look at the statistics, it's high 90 percentile only women get diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it's when I don't know. I don't know. This was just what I was told. And I'm like, I haven't checked these stats or anything. And she was saying it's usually when a woman is going through a phase in her life where she's struggling and she gets given a bipolar disorder diagnosis. And then from that point on, she's not taken seriously with any issues she may have. Because, it's just because you got bipolar.
Yeah, that's what labeling can do. It can be very dangerous.
Yes.
In that regard. Borderline personality is another one.
Yes.
There is so many clinicians out there who will not work with somebody who has got borderline personality. The cluster B personality disorders, narcissism, like proper narcissism. We're not just talking my boyfriend's an arsehole narcissism.
Yeah.
We're talking properly diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder.
Which is very rare to actually get diagnosed, because a true narcissist doesn't
Won't
usually believe anything's wrong with them.
They don't. They know there is, but they don't believe it outwardly enough to go to somebody to seek help. But yeah, I mean, okay, so if you were to, let's branch on that then. Borderline, and I believe borderline and bipolar do exist. I'm going to put that out there.
I've got an aunt and cousin. And
my
cousin's male, so.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting compared to what you were saying before. Which is
exactly. And that's why I'm like, this colleague believes this, but I'm going, but I know a cousin who is male. Mind you, he did have a psychotic break and was institutionalized for 72 hours.
Okay.
And he's on medications now and he's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't think I could truly make a professional opinion on it.
No.
because I don't have enough of the information.
Yeah. If you look at the work from Gabor Mator, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it right, he will tell you that anything in the cluster Bs, and quite often there's actually a lot of clinicians who feel this way, and I sort of I'm on board with it, is that it's an attachment disorder because it's their attachment wounds. That's because if you look at the diagnostic criteria for somebody who has got disorganized attachment, it shows up as borderline or bipolar. More specifically, borderline.
So I wonder if you're able to treat that.
Yeah, why not?
Would really help them. That's interesting.
Well, DBT treats borderline. Dialectical behavioral therapy, which is the spin-off cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes,
there is a lot of research out there for EMDR for borderlines and bipolar. I'm not too sure. I haven't gone into it. I haven't gone down that road for that type of thing, but I would assume that my understanding is that even if you can't cure it, because you can't cure it, it goes into remission and comes spikes and up, which is exactly the same as what an attachment wound and disorder does. Then you can reduce the severity of the symptoms and make it easier for that person to live their life and to be able to function in daily life and with people. Because it's a social thing. But yeah, I'm wondering actually if your colleague would look, if she's talking about hormonal shifts as well in women, and that's why bipolar is mainly. That's interesting.
It was interesting, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to look into this. And just with like you saying that, I remembered her talking about this, and I'm like, wow, because it's like when we get overwhelmed, we can have a crash.
Absolutely.
And yeah, if you could look at it as a completely different personality.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
So it's
just a whole yeah.
Yeah,
that's all beyond my scope or how to work and understand that. My understanding from what I have worked in this space is that it's an attachment thing. However, I do know that I've heard of a person who was going through a marriage separation, went to their GP, and this comes back to what I was talking about before, where GPs are not mental health professionals, went to the GP told her that she had bipolar. The GP told her she had bipolar, put her on lithium and medications, and then she went to seek help, went to a counsellor. The counsellor, who had a bachelor in psychology, nothing further, then turned around and said, oh, no, you don't have bipolar, you have more like borderline, all because she was going through a marriage breakup that was very, very stressful. So then said person was put on high dose of antipsychotic drugs, helped her through that stage, but when she come off them and just started to dealing with a few things and the marriage breakup settled down, then her symptoms miraculously disappeared. That's dangerous and unethical in my book.
Yeah.
Nobody should be given a diagnosis of borderline or bipolar from somebody with a
because those diagnoses don't go away.
No.
They stay on your file.
This person went to family court with these diagnoses.
Oh my God.
And it came up in family court. And it was put on record from a GP and from a counsellor who had a bachelor in psych. Now, I have a bachelor in psych, and I would not dare sit down and tell somebody that they have got that.
Oh no, That's not ethical and within training.
This is why we have to be so careful with things like that, because that is damaging.
That can ruin people's lives, because that would have had an effect on that family court ruling. And that could essentially have put a child in harm's way.
Yes. Yep. Now, the conversation around the antipsychotic meds was that it helped dramatically for the period of time because the person was a bit suicidal. Didn't want, as in with suicide, nobody wants to die. They just want the pain to stop.
Yep.
So it did help, but to come off them was quite difficult.
And
then still having to work through the process of the labels that were put on this person. So this person was not given, as far as I can recall, she needed to go and speak to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist gladly handed over these medications without formal diagnoses, and would have only just had the experience of what was going on in that person's life then and there, not a full history of her life.
And that's where our belief of over-diagnosis and over-medication comes from.
Yes.
Because of cases like this that we hear.
Yes. And that's why I struggle with the medical model.
Yeah.
Because we just want to label people. Because if I can label you, then I can put you in a system, and then I can give you medications.
I can put you in a pretty little box and make you better.
Yeah.
Oh, that just breaks my heart.
Yep. So that's what I'm wearing. Now, so this person had never had psychotic breakdowns. Like, I personally know a couple of people that have got bipolar, and they're in and out of hospital all the time. Their moods are up and down. They are delusional. They do have the textbook symptoms over a period of years.
Yeah. I think that's different.
Yes.
Because there's evidence to back that diagnosis.
Yeah. And then I reckon if you went and looked back into their history, they'd have trauma. And it's the brain's way of coping, which has created the bipolar or the borderline.
Because you'll find that their brain is is constantly in fight, flight, or freeze.
Yes.
Or fawn.
Which is what Gabor Mator says, and the dude who wrote The Body Keeps Score. Can't think of his name. Escaped
I know the book you're talking about.
Yeah. Must read. I haven't fully read it yet because the writing is so small I struggle to see it because I'm blind.
That's where I love Audible.
I have to put it on Audible so I can actually finish it, because I so want to finish it, but I can't read it because the print is so small. So yes, put that one on your to read list.
Yep, it's on there.
Body Keeps Score, or to listen to. Body Keeps Score. Can't think of who wrote it. It wasn't Levine. He wrote Attachment. He wrote Attached. I can't think of it. It doesn't matter.
I was told about another book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's about shame within men and anxiety and all that sort of thing as well.
Wow. Interesting.
It's on Audible.
I buy so many books. I seriously do. My bookcase is full.
I love books.
Good books. And they're like, what did my daughter tell me the other day? There's a name for people like me and her where we
Bibliophile?
What is it?
Bibliophile.
I don't know. We buy books and we never read them. We have all the intention of reading them, but we never read them. So we just have them to sit on our bookshelf. We'll come to that one day.
That book will come in handy one day.
It does. And then we can't let go of it. Oh my God, I have my psych textbook.
Also, the colleague that was talking about misdiagnosis, put me onto a book of Sexy But Psycho by Dr. Jessica Taylor.
Ooh. We might have to put these titles in our blurby thing.
But yeah, there's tons of books out there, even Disarming the Narcissist. So basically, if you have a partner or a co-parent or something and you're dealing with someone with narcissistic tendencies, some strategies to help you. But a lot of the time, if you stick to your boundaries and stand up for yourself, usually that's the best way to deal with it anyway.
Yes. Or another one I've heard is quite good is What Happened to You.
Okay.
I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah, what's that one on?
That'll probably be on Audible. I think Oprah had something to do with it. I saw it in Big W once. And there was another one I'm reading, and I think I've started it 5 times. The Lies We Tell Ourselves.
Ooh.
That one's that's a bit juicy too. That's a good one because we tell ourselves loads of lies to get through something. We justify so much. Yes, the lies we tell ourselves. We might have to start a book list.
Yeah, I think
book club.
Oh,
book club.
Yeah. We'll talk about that one.
I wonder if anyone interested out there who's listening, if we do a book club. Whether or not you get it on Audible or whatever.
Audible's going to probably be the only way I'm going to have time to read anything.
Because the Notice That podcast, which is a EMDR podcast for clinicians, they are actually doing a book club on Shapiro, who invented EMDR, her actual textbook. They're going right through it, 30 pages every month, I believe. Nice. And they're just dissecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go.
I like that idea. But I think we'll wrap up because I have to go get kids from school.
Yes, and I have a client who's waiting for me.
Yes.
So
okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Obviously, if anything hit close to home, we encourage you to seek out professional mental health support. I am Cris from Keneally & Bella Counselling, carbella.com.au. And thank you very much. And Kellie?
And I'm Kellie from Alternative Lifestyles and Sexual Counselling. The website at the moment is still wewalkwithyou.com.au. It will be, when it goes live, kellysheldon.com.au. So something really nice and simple to remember.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. So you won't have to remember the whole big long name. Find us all on socials. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and you are on TikTok.
Yes,
I'm not.
I need to post more on
I'm there, but I'm not. So like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment, send us an email.
Yes, if you've got anything you'd like us to cover or a book you'd like us to talk about, please leave a comment, send us an email at unscriptedcounselors@outlook.com. Thank you very much. Much love. Mwah.
Have a great week.
See you next week.
Thanks. Bye.